Welcome to day 4 on our journey. If you are wondering what happened to day 3, it was spent enjoying Kansas City and all the city has to offer. I love maps. I miss the old paper map books. I would dream for hours the places I would go. My Mima loved maps too. I never asked her why she loved maps, but a part of me likes to think that her love of maps was imprinted somewhere in my DNA. It is moments like that when I miss her the most. When I was mapping this trip, I saw the town of Hannibal, and the little trivia lover in me remembered that Samuel Clemens, aka Mark Twain, grew up in Hannibal, and the books I loved as a kid, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn, are based on locations in Hannibal, and it made me want to head along that route. By a happy accident, I discovered that the road we would be traveling on is called the Way of American Genius. We are going to embark on a scenic and historically rich RV journey from Kansas City, Missouri, heading north on I-35, then east on Highway 36. Our route takes us through Hamilton, Chillicothe, Laclede, with a mention of Marceline, just off Highway 36, and then through Hannibal, Springfield, Illinois, and finally Peoria. This route is filled with fascinating stops, each offering a unique glimpse into America's heartland. As we leave Kansas City, we'll head north on I-35, reach the small town of Cameron as we continue our journey through the picturesque countryside of northern Missouri, and we'll turn east onto Highway 36. Highway 36 is known as the Way of American Genius, and it is rich with historical significance. Next stop, Hamilton. Hamilton is known as the quilt capital of the world. Hamilton is home to the Missouri Star Quilt Company. You can visit the museum and explore the beautiful and intricate quilts from various eras and styles. It is also the childhood home of James Cash Penney, founder of J.C. Penney, a brand that remarkably still exists more than 100 years after it was founded. Next, we reach Chillicothe. We will be covering the contributions of Chillicothe later on in the video. Continuing east, we arrive in Laclede, and there we can explore the childhood home and museum dedicated to General John J. Pershing, the commander of the American Expeditionary Forces in World War I. You can learn about his life, leadership, and his contributions to military history. Just off Highway 36, south on Highway 5, is Marceline. Marceline is Walt Disney's hometown. Visit the Walt Disney Hometown Museum, dedicated to the early years of Walt Disney, showcasing artifacts and exhibits about his life and career. Walt Disney spent several of his formative years in Marceline, which served as a major inspiration for Disneyland's Main Street, USA. Continuing our journey on Highway 36, we reach Hannibal, famously known as the boyhood home of Mark Twain, which we'll continue to explore. Today we're stepping back in time to explore the life and times of one of America's greatest writers, humorists, and social critics, Mark Twain. Born Samuel Langhorne Clemens on November 30th, 1835 in Florida, Missouri, young Sam moved to Hannibal at the age of 4. This quaint river town, nestled among the banks of the mighty Mississippi, would become the backdrop for some of his most famous stories. As we stroll through Hannibal, you'll see the inspiration behind the fictional town of St. Petersburg from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Imagine young Sam Clemens wandering these very streets, filled with mischief and a sense of adventure, just like his characters Tom and Huck. Our first stop is Mark Twain's boyhood home and museum. This is where Samuel Clemens grew up, and it has been preserved to give us a glimpse into his early life, Inside, you'll find artifacts and exhibits that tell the story of his formative years. Imagine young Sam peering out the windows, dreaming of riverboats and far-off adventures. Hannibal in the mid-19th century was a bustling river town. The Mississippi River was the lifeblood of the community, bringing goods, people, and stories from all over the country. Sam Clemens was fascinated by the river, and at the age of 17, he left Hannibal to work as a printer in various cities, but the river called him back. He trained to become a riverboat pilot, a profession he loved and would later immortalize in his book, Life on the Mississippi. There is a statue of Tom and Huck located at the foot of Cardiff Hill. This hill was one of Sam's favorite childhood haunts, and it appears in many of his stories. Imagine the young author to be climbing this hill, playing pirates and exploring caves, just like Tom and Huck. These experiences were deeply etched in his memory and later brought to life in his novels. Walking along Main Street, take a moment to soak in the historic charm. This street, with its old buildings and river views, transports us back to the 1840s and 50s. It was here that young Sam would have encountered a cast of colorful characters, much like those in his books. In fact, many of the people he met in Hannibal found their way into his stories. For instance, Tom Blankenship, the son of a local drunkard, was the real-life inspiration for Huck Finn. The Mark Twain Cave is just a short drive from here. This cave system, with its winding passages and hidden chambers, captured Sam's imagination. It famously featured in The Adventures of Tom Sawyer as the setting for Tom and Becky Thatcher's thrilling adventure. Exploring the cave today, you can still sense the mystery and excitement that must have captivated young Sam Clemens. His journey didn't end in Hannibal. After his stint as a riverboat pilot, the Civil War brought river traffic to a halt, and he ventured west to Nevada and California, trying his hand at mining and journalism. It was during this time that he adopted the pen name Mark Twain, a term from his riverboat days meaning 2 fathoms deep, a safe depth for a steamboat. His experiences out west provided material for his book Roughing It, where he detailed his adventures with humor and wit. In 1865, Twain's short story, The Celebrated Jumping Frog of Calaveras County, which, interestingly enough, is not far from Amador County, brought him national attention. This success marked the beginning of a prolific writing career. In 1870, he married Olivia Langdon and settled in Hartford, Connecticut. Despite moving away, the spirit of Hannibal and the Mississippi River stayed with him, deeply influencing his work. Mark Twain's writing was groundbreaking. He used his sharp wit and keen observation to critique society and human nature. His novels, essays, and lectures were filled with humor, but also with pointed commentary on issues like racism, greed, and hypocrisy. His works include The Prince and the Pauper, A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court, and Pudd'nhead Wilson, showcasing his versatility and his ability to blend humor with serious social critique. Now let's make an intriguing connection to another American icon, Walt Disney. Just like Mark Twain, Walt Disney was a master storyteller who drew inspiration from his surroundings. Disney was a great admirer of Twain's work and incorporated it into his own creations. If you've ever visited Disneyland, you've undoubtedly seen these influences. In fact, Main Street USA at Disneyland is supposed to be representative of Main Street Marceline. One of the key attractions at Disneyland is the Mark Twain Riverboat, an homage to Twain's love of the Mississippi River and his time as a riverboat pilot. As the riverboat glides along the rivers of America, you can almost hear the echoes of Twain's tales of adventure and exploration. This attraction serves as a bridge between the worlds of Twain and Disney, both of whom celebrated the spirit of adventure and the importance of imagination. Another iconic feature is Tom Sawyer Island, an interactive play area where visitors can explore caves, climb hills, and cross bridges inspired by the adventures of Tom and Huck. The island captures the essence of Twain's stories, allowing guests to step in the world of his beloved characters. The island is a testament to the lasting impact of Twain's work and Disney's ability to bring stories to life in a tangible and engaging way. In Disneyland's New Orleans Square, you can ride the Disneyland Railroad, which includes the Lily Bell, a beautifully appointed presidential train named after Walt Disney's wife, Lillian. The train passes by scenes reminiscent of the Old South and the Mississippi River, evoking the world Twain knew so well. Interestingly, Mark Twain and Walt Disney grew up not far from each other along the way of American genius, a route that celebrates the lives and legacies of some of America's most influential figures. Twain and Disney are linked by this trail of creativity and innovation. Both men were profoundly influenced by their Midwestern roots, and both left indelible marks on American culture. Riverview Park offers a stunning view of the Mississippi River. Imagine Mark Twain standing here reflecting on his boyhood adventures and the river that shaped his life and stories. Though he traveled far and wide, Hannibal remained a touchstone for him and a place that fueled his imagination and inspired some of the greatest works in American literature. I appreciate you joining me on this journey through the life of Mark Twain and his enduring connection to Walt Disney. I hope you leave with a deeper appreciation of his roots here in Hannibal and how this town helped shape a literary legend. Today we're going to uncover the fascinating history behind a phrase we all know and love, the greatest thing since sliced bread. Some may say that I'm playing fast and loose with the word fascinating, but you'll have to decide for yourself. As we pass through the charming town of Chillicothe, you'll learn about the origin of this iconic phrase and the revolutionary invention that started it all. Let's begin our journey with a bit of context. Imagine life before sliced bread. Back in the early 20th century, bread was sold as whole loaves. Consumers and bakers had to slice it by hand, which was time-consuming and often resulted in uneven slices. Thanks to the ingenuity of Otto Frederick Roewetter, an inventor from Iowa with a brilliant idea. Roewetter spent years perfecting his invention, a machine that could slice bread and wrap it to keep it fresh. Despite facing many challenges, including a fire that destroyed his prototype and blueprints in 1917, Roewetter was determined. By 1928, he had finally perfected his bread slicing machine and was ready to introduce it. And that brings us to Chillicothe. Our next stop is the Chillicothe Baking Company, where history is made. On July 7, 1928, the bakery used Roewetter's machine to produce the first commercially sliced bread. This revolutionary product was marketed as the greatest forward step in the baking industry since bread was wrapped. The convenience of pre-sliced bread caught on quickly, transforming how people bought and consumed bread. As we travel through the streets of Chillicothe, you can imagine the excitement and curiosity that must have filled the air when residents saw sliced bread on the shelves. The local newspaper, the Chillicothe Constitution Tribune, even ran an advertisement highlighting the new product, calling it the greatest advance in the baking industry since bread was wrapped. The success of sliced bread spread rapidly. Bakeries across the country began adopting Roewetter's machine, and sliced bread became a household staple. Its impact was so profound that it led to the creation of the famous phrase we use today, the greatest thing since sliced bread. This phrase signifies an invention or idea so innovative and helpful that it can only be compared to the convenience of pre-sliced bread. Please take a moment to appreciate the ingenuity and perseverance that brought us this simple yet transformative invention. Otto Rohrwetter's sliced bread machine changed the baking industry and left an enduring legacy in our language and culture. Interestingly, one of the first records of the phrase, the greatest thing since sliced bread, refers to British actor Stuart Granger in the movie King Solomon's Mines, when the writer Dorothy Kilgallen referred to her sister saying that Mr. Granger is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Thank you for joining me on this esoteric journey through the history of sliced bread. I hope you leave with a greater appreciation for this everyday convenience and its remarkable story. May you always find delight in life's simple pleasures, like a perfect slice of bread. As we depart from Hannibal, leaving behind the world of Mark Twain, we'll cross the mighty Mississippi River. This river is not only one of the longest in the world, but also a vital waterway in the history and development of the United States. Get your cameras ready for some stunning views. As we cross the river, we are entering Illinois. Welcome to the land of Lincoln. The name Illinois comes from the French version of an Algonquin word, Illinois, which means tribe of superior men. Illinois is known for its diverse culture, agriculture, and significant contributions to American history. As we continue our journey, we'll pass through several interesting towns and cities. For example, Jacksonville, Illinois, is known for its beautiful historic homes and Illinois College, one of the oldest colleges in the state. And here we are, arriving in Springfield. In addition to rejoining historic Route 66, Springfield is the capital of Illinois. The city has a rich history and is most famously known as the home of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. Springfield was established in 1819 and became the state capital in 1839. It has been the center of political and social activity in Illinois for many years. Abraham Lincoln moved to Springfield in 1837 and lived here until he became president in 1861. Lincoln's home is a National Historic Site, and it's one of the most visited attractions in the city. It's a beautifully preserved example of a mid-19th century residence, and it gives us a glimpse into Lincoln's domestic life. In 1858, the Illinois state capitol here in Springfield, Lincoln delivered his famous House Divided speech, in which he said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." This speech was given to the Illinois Republican Convention, where Lincoln had just been nominated as the Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate. His audience that day included politicians, supporters, and citizens who were deeply concerned about the nation's future. Lincoln's House Divided speech addressed deep divisions over slavery that were tearing the country apart at the time. He warned that the nation could not endure permanently half slave and half free. Today, we find ourselves in another period of significant political unrest and division in the United States. Issues such as racial inequality, political polarization, and debates over civil rights echo the sentiments of Lincoln's era. Just as Lincoln spoke to a nation grappling with fundamental questions about identity and values, current leaders and citizens are engaged in a struggle over the direction of our country's future. It's a reminder that while specifics of our challenges may change, the need for unity and common purpose remains as crucial as ever. Fun fact about Springfield: it's not just about history. Did you know that the city is known for the Cozy Dog Drive-In that was located on Route 66, where the corn dog on a stick was popularized. It's a fun stop for a quick bite. So thank you for joining me along this journey from Hannibal to Springfield. I hope you enjoyed learning about the rich history and interesting facts along the way. As we explore Springfield, take the time to visit the Lincoln home, the old state capitol, and enjoy the local cuisine. Have a wonderful time exploring the capital of Illinois. As we continue our journey towards Peoria, we will travel 75 miles north by northwest through the fertile plains of central Illinois. The region is known for its agriculture, particularly corn and soybean production, which you'll see plenty of as we travel. Keep an eye out for beautiful, expansive landscapes that define this part of the state. As we make our way to Peoria, we'll pass through several towns that contribute to the character of Illinois. One such town is Lincoln, Illinois, named after Abraham Lincoln before he became president. It's home to the world's largest covered wagon, a fun roadside attraction that's great for a quick photo stop. Another notable stop is the town of Atlanta, Illinois. It's known for its Route 66 heritage with a beautifully restored 1900s era clock tower and a giant Paul Bunyan statue holding a hot dog, a quirky tribute to the Mother Road. As we get closer to Peoria, you might notice the landscape starting to change slightly, with more rolling hills and the Illinois River coming into view. Peoria is situated along the river, which has been a critical transportation route since the days of Native American tribes and early European settlers. Peoria is one of the oldest settlements in Illinois, with a history that dates back to the 1600s when it was a French fur trading outpost. The city's name comes from the Peoria tribe, one of many Native American tribes in the region. Over the centuries, Peoria has grown into a major industrial and agricultural hub, known particularly for its role in the manufacturing industry. The headquarters for Caterpillar Inc., a Fortune 100 company, is located here, and it has played a significant role in the city's economic development. Did you know that Peoria is often used to test market for new products in America? The phrase, "Will it play in Peoria?" comes from the idea that if something's popular here, it's likely to be popular across the country. This makes Peoria a microcosm of American culture, a place where trends and taste are tested before they go nationwide. As we approach Peoria, I hope you've enjoyed the stories along the way. See you next time.